Up on Mountain News this morning, there was a gruesome carjacking attack over the weekend that ended with the death of a victim. And a man accused of animal abuse in Garrett County will appear in court later today.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. We are at 6:27 this Monday morning, and with it being the first full week of school for some of you, I think that's what makes Friday just a little bit better, maybe? I don't know. You let me know. But let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast.
Come on, this weather today, not bad. No, it's really good for a Monday. Yeah, I know it's a Monday though, right? 54, low visibility across portions of eastern into southern Kentucky this morning, so take the pedal off the metal, a little extra time no matter where you go. Visibility seems to be good. As you make your way from Jackson to Prestonsburg, Moorhead to Ashland with the optimal 10-mile reading. 58 at Prestonsburg, near 60 as you make your way through Harlan to 58 at Middlesboro and 60 at the London Corbin Airport. Double fives for Ashland, back down 64 into Moorhead. Some waves of clouds on the overnight period. Didn't diminish the moonlight too much. It did for my 64 points north and northeast. Now to the north and west, some additional cloud coverage coming into play. So we end up averaging out to a sunny to partly cloudy sky today with a high in hazard up to 81. Your ARH 7-day forecast and your bust up forecasts all coming up in a few moments. Madison?
All right, Tim, thank you. Police are investigating the death of a Jackson County woman who they say died after being carjacked and run over by her own vehicle. Officials say Tracy Clemens is dead, and now 41-year-old Michael Edwards is behind bars facing a slew of charges. Alyssa Williams talked with an employee of the business who is also a friend of the victim to learn more about what happened.
It's an incident that is leaving people in Jackson County shaken.
Nothing like that happens in this community.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office says it was a carjacking outside the Annville T-Mart Saturday morning that left Tracy Clemens dead. Michelle House is an employee there and a friend of the victim. She says Clemens stopped in T-Mart that morning like she does each and every day.
She was just getting breakfast for her children and going home, and it just happened so fast.
House tells me she didn't get to work until the ambulance was leaving and had no idea it was Clemens until she watched everything unfold on the business's security cameras.
Her truck was parked here, her black truck. There was a black Nissan that pulled around approximately here. He jumped out the back passenger side of the Nissan, jumped in Tracy's truck. She came out the door. Tracy was here. She grabbed the door. He takes off. He drags her all the way around here. She hits the ground. And this is where my friend's life was taken.
The Laurel County coroner says Clemens died at St. Joseph, London from blunt force trauma to the head. Deputies say the man behind the wheel was Michael Edwards.
There's children without a mother today, and a husband without a wife today.
Deputies say Edwards left the scene in Clemens' truck, abandoned it, and fled on foot into the woods. Hours later, he was captured and arrested in a field off Cornet Chapel Road.
I think we need to pull together as a community and watch out for one another more. Tracy is dearly loved and dearly missed, and she'll always be remembered here.
In Jackson County, Alyssa Williams, WKYT.
Edwards has an extensive criminal history and is now facing charges of murder, wanton endangerment, and carjacking, among others. He is being held at the Jackson County Detention Center on a $1 million bond. The Perry County Sheriff's Office is looking for a missing woman. They say the woman you see on your screen is 28-year-old Veronica Sweet. She was last seen on 126 Boone Ledge Drive in Hazard Friday at around 10:30 in the evening. Officers say Sweet is missing from an assisted living facility and is diagnosed with multiple mental health disorders. Sweet is also said to have 2 visible tattoos and is described as 5 feet 4 inches with brown hair and blue eyes. If you know anything about where Sweet might be, you are asked to call 911. Two people face charges after a traffic stop in Laurel County. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says they arrested Ronald Wright and Robert Lee Wright Thursday on South Laurel Road. The Sheriff's Office says investigation determined they were both under the influence and were in possession of suspected meth. They were both also wanted on active warrants. Ronald Wright faces several charges, including DUI and possession of a controlled substance. Robert Wright is charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of an open beverage in a vehicle, and more. In Garrett County, a Garrett County man is facing dozens of charges of animal cruelty and is scheduled to appear in court later today at 10 this morning. The arrest citation of 64-year-old Dennis Kirkpatrick says there were 62 dogs living in bad conditions in his home, with one dead dog being found. Cases like these can put strains on already struggling shelters. Some animal shelters in Kentucky deal with shortages of supplies and space for animals at the shelters. The Garrett County Animal Shelter says they are in need of help.
It's heartbreaking, and what it comes down to is basically that we don't have strict enough laws. We would never see these numbers if there was a spay and neuter law, if there was affordable vetting for the spay and neuters. We're seeing more and more numbers like this.
Anita Spreitzer with Lexington's Pause for the Cause says she's seen situations like this one before and says current laws are not helping to control the tidal wave of rescues Kentucky shelters are seeing. For a rural shelter like Garrett County, the 62 dogs they've taken in have caused the shelter to shut down to other new cases for the time being. Many other animal shelters are facing issues with overcrowding, including right here in eastern Kentucky. The Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter is one of those places that has seen more animals than they have the staff to properly take care of. Getting your pet spayed and neutered is a practice that helps address the issue from the beginning. It is also healthy for the animal. Experts say it can help prevent certain infections and cancers and increase animals' lifespan. Tony Vaughn has worked with animals for many years and says he and his wife hope to open a low-cost clinic to provide those services.
Me and my wife are going to try to build our own clinic just for low-cost spay-neuter. We're going to take something because we see where the need's at now, and I really want to have our own clinic because the state laws will be changing next year. They'll be a lot stricter. We're going to have a facility that will allow that to happen.
Vaughn says next year, laws relating to spaying and neutering will become more strict, which is why it is important for affordable resources to become more available. After Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter Board President resigned last week, the shelter is hoping to take strides in a new direction. WYMT's Caroline Mueller brings us to the volunteer and donation drive, which was hosted Saturday.
Cross is rebuilding its foundation as they aim to move past controversies and conflict around the conditions and administrative processes of the shelter.
One of the things that I came in to do was to help them create a plan for how to start getting everything back on track, and that's what we're doing.
Rex Kilburn, who has been working with Cross for about a month, says that is what they were doing today with the volunteer and donation drive. So
we are set up at the flea market. We are going to be set up at Walmart, and there's a local farmers market. We have a little booth set up there, and then we also have a great turnout of volunteers here today who are essentially going through and taking care of some of these serious issues that we have that just need to be taken care of.
He says a lot of today's work was to get the shelter operational.
So simple things like getting an inventory done, reorganizing where storage is kept, getting all the kennels cleaned, everything labeled.
Mariah Mitchell works in disaster relief and first began helping with the shelter after the July 2022 flood.
Dogs, they've always had more than probably any other shelter I've worked with. And so in comparison, it would be so difficult day in and day out with such few people. That's why volunteers are so important, to be able to take care of everything.
Kilburn says the goal is to get the shelter to a place where it can prosper.
we want to get the shelter to go beyond just survival for these animals. We want this to be a thriving shelter. And what that means is networking with other shelters, networking with other rescues, getting additional funding coming in that is not spontaneous but consistent.
Staff say they hear the public's concerns, and this new era is not something they can do alone. In Perry County, Caroline Mueller, WYMT Mountain News.
Medical checkups were also done on the animals Saturday morning. If you are interested in volunteering or helping the shelter, another way you can visit our website, WYMT.com. University of Pikeville students have opened a free clinic in efforts of supporting the community. Located at 8015 Millard Highway, College of Osteopathic Medicine students are providing services such as physicals, blood pressure, vaccinations, and more. Clinical Director Elishada Day Siddiq says this is one way they are working to give back to the community that has given so much to them.
At the end of the day, a lot of us are students that have come from far and wide, a lot of different places, essentially transplant students. And we all feel that it's important for us to give back to the community, that it's not fair that the community, the faculty, everybody does such an incredible job educating us. And so we want to give back in every single way we possibly can. And so that's kind of how this all started.
Siddiq says they hope to add on students from the university's dental and optometry schools. The clinic is open on each second Saturday of the month. She adds they will be open more often as the clinic grows.
So, how'd you like the weekend? No, not just because it was the weekend, the weather. Hey, if you love the weekend weather-wise, you're going to love the way the weather is for a Monday. It is 54 outside our door right now here in Hazard. A touchdown greater as you make your way toward Jackson. If you're a football fan, you know exactly where I went. 60 at London, 60 at Pikeville. Mid-50s more head to Ashland, mid-50s at Jonesville. Some waves of clouds streaming in from the north and west. That'll help to dim the sunshine a bit today, so we'll call it sunny to partly cloudy. Got a calm wind with that 54-degree reading right now. As we make our way through the 7 o'clock hour toward 8 o'clock, we'll warm up to 59, near 80 at the lunch hour, and we'll top out or check that mid-70s at the lunch hour, 81 for the daytime high in Hazard. The First Alert 7-day forecast continues the nice weather, but for how long? That's coming up in a few moments. Madison?